back in session, and again the floor is given to Nuanti's defense team to continue putting further questions to the witness. You can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon again, Madam Witness. I wasn't there this morning when you testified, but according to notes that were made, I understand that you never actually witnessed anybody being killed, being executed at Krang Tachan. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I only saw people involved in the killing returned with blood stains all over their body, but I did not witness the killing personally. I only witnessed those people coming down to the ponds to wash themselves.
And I understand that you also never saw any dead corpses of prisoners while you were detained at Krang Tachan. That is correct, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct.
Yet we have heard testimony of one of your fellow prisoners, Sai Sen, and he gave testimony that he was involved in digging pits, in stripping clothes of corpses after their execution, counting prisoners before they were being executed. If I tell you that this is Sai Sen's testimony, what is your reaction to that?
I did not know whether he was involved in the matter. However, he was a prisoner who was allowed to stay outside the detention building. So, to my knowledge, he might have known about some other matters that I did not know.
I understand, Madam Witness, but it seems that witness Sai Sen has testified to all kinds of actions that he was involved in, all kinds of dealings with just executed prisoners, recently executed prisoners. So my question again is, how would it be possible that you have not seen all these things that Sai Sen has been doing in Krang Tachan?
I was not yet gaining the confidence from the people there. During the day, at time I was led to work in the fields or to carry a mount or to engage in the plantation of various wages. We were prisoners and we were forced to work here or there under their supervision, and we could not just stop or go anywhere at our own will. For that reason, I could not go anywhere on my own. We were like in a herd of cattle under their watch, and we could not move freely. And probably that's the reason that I did not see any dead bodies.
Let me now, Madam Witness, go back to the day you were detained at Krang Tachan, and more specifically, your interrogation. I believe your interrogation lasted several days, and that you were asked questions, but that you were not at any time beaten by the interrogators. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And this morning, I believe you testified a little bit as to the content of the questions that were asked to you. Can you give us some more details in relation to the questions? What do you remember what was asked to you, and what was your answer given to the interrogators?
I can recall the question that how my husband coached me and introduced me into the KGB or June spy network, and I said that I myself never heard of the word KGB or the June spy network. Even up to today, I don't know what it means. Then I was asked about my educational background, about what my parents did or my siblings did during the previous regime. And it seems that they were teasing me and not be serious enough in their interrogation. And they said that maybe I did not give a good quality injection to the patient at the hospital. And it seems that it was not a kind of question that was posed to me, but it was kind of teasing to hurt my feeling.
But did any of the interrogators at one point tell you they believed your story, that you had nothing to do with the activities of your husband?
I cannot recall if any of them said anything to that effect.
But do you remember the last day of your interrogation? Did they say anything to you about punishment or about re-education? Or was the interrogation just finished like that?
After the conclusion of the interrogation, they said that I would be instructed to work hard and that I would die anyway. So I thought that my life would end in Krantachan prison. However, luckily enough, I survived after the liberation. So the new regime was kind of my second birth, or my second appearance, as I recall clearly that they would allow me to work until I died. And you could imagine that I just delivered my baby and I was asked to engage in heavy work in carrying earth, and I myself still suffered from the symptoms that I received during the time.
Do you know anything about the interrogation of your colleague, your former colleague, Han? Did she tell you what went on during her interrogation?
When Han was interrogated, I was not allowed to be there or to let her sleep next to her. we were separated and we were not allowed to communicate amongst ourselves.
But after the interrogation was finished and you were detained at Krang Thachan, did you have an opportunity to speak to Han?
After we both were interrogated, we were detained in the building for several more days. Then we were let out to work outside like other previous inmates. So Han and I were the latest prisoners who were detained. Then we were allowed to carry a mount or to carry German waste fertilizer or to engage in the rice transplantation. They would use us the way they pleased.
Did you ever speak to Han about her interrogation and whether she was, unlike you, beaten?
Han was also not beaten. However, about 6 months after her detention, and I became closer to Han, I asked her about the interrogation, and she said she was asked about Tasain, the surgeon, and what instructions Tasain gave to her. Later on, Han got married with a man in Trapang Kul and left. Han actually left Hospital 22 for several years, and I did not know why she was implicated in the matters that happened at Hospital 22.
But was Han released at the same day as you? Or did she escape at the same day as you?
Han had left her earlier than me when she escaped along with other people, and along the route she came across her husband. And I did not know the background of her husband or whether her husband knew the prison chief. But when she met him, she fled along with him.
Did you have an opportunity to flee together with Han?
No, I did not. And the reason that I did not have the opportunity to do so is that I could not find any of my relatives. And those people who were fleeing were prisoners from various other districts and whom I did not know. And only when the gunfire were exchanged, then I could find an opportunity to flee.
Do you remember how many prisoners fled together with Han before you?
Prisoners who were allowed to return home included the family of Ye Nyo, then Ipon, and a woman by the name of Vươn, who was about 15 or 16 years old. And Dam, Sein, and Han, and I were the last. Sam and Dam were probably kept for the service in the center, but for Han and I, we did not think that we would survive because we were the last people to be detained at the center.
So I'm not quite sure if I understand everything, but how many prisoners left the prison in light of the coming Vietnamese troops? How many prisoners were still there who left the prison just before the Vietnamese came?
Prisoners were told that they will be transferred to another location, and in fact no one was kept as they were all being transferred or taken to be killed, and only Han and I were kept in the compound.
I'm a bit confused, Madam Witness. Did you say now, are you saying now that you didn't escape, but everybody was transferred out in light of the coming Vietnamese? What is it exactly that happened in the week or the 2 weeks before the Vietnamese arrived? Did people escape, or were people taken away?
Before the arrival of the Vietnamese, they did not send anyone out. In fact, they held a meeting and we were told that we would be relocated. And for those who were to be relocated, they would be taken at night time. And we were put in a different detention building, and I did not know whether those people who were told to be relocated would be sent elsewhere or would be sent to be killed, as it happened at night time. And in the morning, when I was asked to fetch the water from the ponds for cooking rice, I saw a scarf which was attached to a barbed wire, so I concluded that those people who were taken out at night were actually killed. And when the scarf was attached to the barbed wire, it means that he refused to move along. That's why the scarf got caught in the barbed wire. And allow me to continue. And of course, when we were relocated, I did not see any of the previous people or prisoners who were told to be relocated. And that made me believe that those people had been killed. Yes, I saw none of them when I was taken out with them.
I'm not sure if I understand everything you're saying, but I'll move on to another subject, Madam Witness. And that was your time at Hospital 22. I think you briefly spoke about that this morning. Can you describe a bit more detail your activities in Hospital 22?
I was an ordinary medical staff, and I would do what I was instructed, and the doctor would examine the patients, and then we will be told which injection to give to the patient, and we simply did the injection. And later on, I was transferred to clean the wounds and how to wrap the bandage after doing the cleaning. So simply I followed what I was told, and that was mainly my duties at Hospital 22, and I was on various roster. For example, this week I would do the wound dressing, and next week I would do the injection, and the week after I would go to find a vegetable for cooking.
Do you remember? No, let me rephrase. Was there any difference between patients who came in, or was everybody who had a medical issue treated in the same way?
As for the treatment, the cartridge will be put separately from the combatants, and in the record book, we would just follow what was written down there. For example, which injection to give to a particular patient, we would just do that injection.
You're talking about combatants, but I was asking that my intention was to ask you about people who were working in the cooperatives. When they were coming into the hospital, were they all treated the same?
I worked in a military hospital, and the hospital was not for the treatment of people, ordinary villagers, or the people from the cooperative.
So you never treated anybody who was a normal villager, is that correct?
During the war period, I mainly stayed in the forest, and only after the liberation I came to work in the district. While I worked in the forest, I never saw any ordinary villagers who were sick. And allow me to stress, the hospital that I worked for was a military hospital.
Did you ever become a member of the Communist Party of Cambodia? Were you ever a member of the Khmer Rouge?
No, I wasn't, because of my background, as my father was a former soldier during the Sangkum Niyom regime.
My last questions to you, Madam Witness. I see that next to you is sitting a representative of the TPO. Is she sitting there because you requested her assistance?
I request her support because I had hypertension, and I had problem with my heart as well. So I'm afraid that when I am overexcited, it might be a life-risking situation. So for that reason, I request the support from the organization.
In recent years, have you experienced any mental problems?
No, I have not. If I have any mental problem, then I would not be fit to teach students.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President, thank you. Today hearing is now concluded. Although we have an extra half an hour, we don't have any reserve witness. The chamber will adjourn today and resume tomorrow, that is Tuesday, 19 May 2015, starting from 9 o'clock. Tomorrow we will hear testimony from a witness through TCW 836. And Madame Wong Sarun, the chamber is grateful of your presence and testimony as a witness during this full day, and your testimony may contribute to ascertaining the truth in this case. Your testimony is now concluded, and your presence here is no longer necessary, and you may return to wherever you wish to go. And the chamber wishes you bon voyage. And the chamber would also like to thank the TPL staff, that is Madame Chai Maridain, for your support. And court officer, in collaboration with the visual, please make a necessary arrangement for Madame Wong Saron to return to her place of residence or wherever she wishes to go to. Security personnel, you are instructed to take the two accused back to the detention facility and have them return to attend the proceedings tomorrow before 9 o'clock. The court is now adjourned.